Hello guys and welcome back. Welcome back to Dylan's Little Hobbies, and in today's video I am going to be doing another X-Wing Miniatures How to Fly. In this series I basically want to teach you guys how to fly certain ships. Really, what I tend to do is I just tend to show you how I choose to fly them, how I choose to set up my ships, what upgrade cards I like to use on certain ships, and I also tell you guys, how I tend to think of the way I use these ships, and I hope through the way that I use them, you might be able to come up with your own ideas on how you guys can use your ships. But with that said, nothing in this video is set in stone. Nothing in this video is it has to be 100% done my way, this way. Everyone has their own strategies. Everyone has their own way of flying these ships. That's what's so cool about X-Wing Manager. And I just hope that if you watch this video, if you see the way that I use them, the way that I choose my cards and everything, I hope you guys might be able to, of course, come up with your own strategies and your own way on using X-Wing Managers. With that said, without further ado, let's go ahead and see what ship we are going to be flying today. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about, strangely, a TIE Fighter with shields. TIE Fighters don't have shields. Well, they do now. Okay, yes, we are going to be talking about none other than the First Order TIE Fighter. After 30 years. After 30 years, the technology has improved enough to put a shield on a TIE Fighter. I don't know, that just... it kind of, it makes a lot of sense in universe, but it's always kind of funny because you think, well, why do TIE Fighters get blown up so easily? And it's because they don't have shields, and you kind of wonder, well, why don't they have shields? The reason why is because the Empire didn't want someone just stealing a TIE Fighter and flying off. If someone stole a TIE Fighter, they want to just be able to shoot it down. They don't care really about quality pilots or any of that stuff. They care about quantity. So if one ship gets blown up, who cares? They have like a million more. That's how the Empire thought of the TIE Fighters. And it's very interesting that the First Order kind of does the similar thing. But they know they at least have to survive the battle, right? So they do at least put one shield, yes. One shield, and let's just quickly go over its stats. It has 2 attack dice, 3 evades, 3 hull, and a shield. Focus token, evade token, can target, and of course, can also barrel roll. Which, actually, I have the TIE Fighter card right here. Let's just show you guys the difference, huh? Let's just show you guys the difference. So 2 attack dice, 3 hull, 3 evade dice, a focus token, evade, and barrel roll. They can't target. These guys can't target. That's interesting that the First Order TIE Fighter does have a targeting computer. Which is also interesting because this is the only ship with a targeting computer that I've found, and I've actually looked at the cards and everything for it. In fact, I'm looking at the cards right now. The TIE Fighter does not have any torpedoes or missile shots. That's just interesting that it does have a targeting computer, though. And the targeting computer actually goes along with some of the pilot abilities, which we are also going to talk about. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and look at the points costs. Now, these might be irrelevant by this point. They change the points cost all the time. I just show you the points cost just to hopefully give you an idea of how much this ship would cost. And it's interesting that this ship does actually cost a little bit more than an average TIE Fighter, but it has some major upgrades. Again, that targeting computer and that shield is a major upgrade. Not to mention, on the normal TIE Fighter, you might be able to get away with putting a talent on your pilots and perhaps a ship upgrade, but for God's sakes, these things are not very useful at all, so it's not even worth putting the extra points towards a TIE Fighter, in my opinion. A talent can be useful, but I wouldn't bother with putting a shield upgrade or a after boosters or Ablot plane or anything like that on a normal TIE Fighter. But when it comes to these guys are actually quite a bit stronger than you might think, than you might look at. And that's why I really like the First Order TIE Fighter. Not to mention, let's just show you guys the pictures. Look at these colors, man. The black and white are so... It stands out so well against the background. If you just have this on your counter, man, this looks beautiful. In the display case, black and white looks beautiful. I really do like the colors of the First Order ships. Now, I will admit this, the First Order is a part of the sequels. The sequel movies, I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a fan of the sequel movies. But I love the ship designs. The ship designs, they got right when it comes to the First Order. I really do enjoy the ship designs. I just wish the story was better, but that's my own opinion, you know. But I do enjoy the First Order TIE Fighter. So let's go ahead and show you guys the quick builds real quick, because we didn't do that. I typically use the quick builds. I modify the quick builds. I use this more than I use the points cost system, just because my family, I can't remind my family all the time how many points everything costs, so the quick builds just make it easier. Okay, so let's quickly just go over some of my favorite upgrade cards to use with these guys. I mean, again, Ablon Plane, that is fantastic. I really do enjoy Predator, that is one of my favorite talent cards. Swarm Tactics, Marksmanship. I mean, all these cards are good talents nonetheless, but they're really good on the First Order TIE Fighter. I like them. You can also put one of these guys on there. Yeah, so, while a friendly ship at range 1 to 2 performs an attack against a target you have lost, that ship ignores the attacker requirement, the targeting computer attacker requirement. In other words, you guys can put this on your TIE Fighter, and then you can use it along with Kylo Ren, and have him use your targeting computer to fire his missiles at you, at your opponent. That is really awesome. That is a really handy card. Yes, you can use that on other ships with targeting computers as well, but that's really kind of handy on this TIE Fighter, on the First Order TIE Fighter. Pattern Analyzer can be useful as well. While you fully execute a red maneuver before the check difficulty step, you may perform one action. So basically, while you're doing a stress maneuver, you can do an action. That's pretty darn handy. I haven't used that very much on the First Order TIE Fighter, but yeah, it's there. It's a useful card. Afterburners is a fun upgrade, you know, and it has a shield. Why not stick another shield on it, or a hull upgrade? You know, that's pretty handy. I do enjoy Outmaneuver a lot. Outmaneuver is like one of my favorite cards to use on all of my ships. I use it both. Doesn't matter which faction. I tend to use this talent card a lot, and it's a lot of fun on the First Order TIE Fighters as well. Now, as for my favorite First Order TIE Fighter, I like Null. His ability is pretty darn cool. Let's check it out. While you are not damaged, treat your inactive value at 7. So you get to become a powerhouse as long as you're not damaged, you know? That's pretty darn handy. But there are so many good First Order TIE Fighter pilots. So many good ones. Another one I like is Midnight. While you defend or perform an attack, if you have a lock on the enemy ship, that ship's dice cannot be modified. So that basically stops your opponent from using its focus tokens or using one of its upgrade cards to change the dice value. You know, that's fantastic. To change whether or not that dice is a blank or an evade or re-rolling that dice, you can't modify the dice with that. That is a really powerful ability. That's pretty useful. How about Long Shot? Long Shot. While we perform a primary attack at range 3, roll 1 additional attack dice. And that is, of course, another strong, handy ability. Because while using that against an opponent at range 3, typically they would have an extra evade, right? Well, now you have an extra dice to hopefully attack them with, hopefully get them with. So, yes, they do have a lot of abilities. The First Order TIE Fighter has a lot of abilities that tend to modify their attacks to be more effective against the opponent. I'd argue that, yes, the Empire has some of those, but the Empire tends to be a little bit more standoffish when it comes to improving their own team. Okay, so, you know, the best thing about the First Order TIE Fighter, and I'm gonna put this into a little bit of guns terms. Let's talk about the Empire for a second, you know? You got the TIE Bomber. That's my missile launcher, right? That's my big guns, right? And then you have my regular shotgun. My big shotgun, which would be the TIE Advance. But, what is the TIE Fighter? What is this guy? What's the Imperial TIE Fighter? It's basically a pistol that doesn't really work that well unless in close quarters. And I mean, unless you're behind the guy, it's a pistol. It's not very useful unless you're at point-blank range, right? That's it. That's it. That's not a very handy ability at all. Because you're really close to the enemy, you have to get real close to the enemy for that to be even effective, and that gives them a chance to, of course, kill you. You know? In gun terms, that's how I look at the TIE Fighter. But here's the thing. I would never use this as a support ship. This would be more or less my decoy ship. It's a couple points. Who cares if it gets blown up? It's nothing but another gun for me to fire if I need it. This guy, however, the First Order TIE Fighter, I would definitely highly recommend as a support ship. As a ship to fly right next to your big guns, which of course would be the TIE Silencer. I almost said TIE Advance. The TIE Silencer along with Kylo Ren. That's a pretty darn useful ability. And for me, that's how I tend to use the First Order TIE Fighter, is I tend to use it as my support ship when it comes to the game. Yes, it could serve the role of decoy, but it has so many awesome abilities that I just don't think it's really worth losing that one little ship, you know? I think it is a really great ship. And I love the look of them. Look at the TIE Fighter compared to the regular TIE Fighter. Look at the First Order TIE Fighter compared to the Imperial one. I just love the colors. It's striking. It looks so cool. Again, not a fan of the sequels. But I am a fan of the ship designs. They look so cool. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching, and I am out. Oh, but if you think that this TIE Fighter is cool, just like Yoda would say, there is another. In my next video, we'll be talking about that one.